Hey, 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 hey. Welcome back yet again for another reading of about life after death, okay? I hope y'all ain't out there like this girl done lost it. Listen, when you get the good news and you understand how deep this thing goes and how wonderful it is, how you can't be nothing but happy. You can't be nothing but happy, okay? So it's your girl, Unique Air, once in again, coming at you again, your death doula, speaking on metaphysical topics that help you in this life and the life beyond, and everything that pertains to life, period. I mean, hey, I'm happy today. I'm glad that a certain Kamala didn't get back in office today. I don't participate in the process. I don't, because I govern myself. All right. And whatever comes out of that, I don't want the karmic debt from it. So I don't cast no ballots. Okay. But I'm happy that that particular party did not take center stage again. So I'm pleased. I'm happy. And so we're going to go into another reading. And this chapter is called After Death. Most people absolutely they don't know what happens during the death process because they haven't died yet, right? But some people have had near death experiences. Some people have had astral projections, and so they get it. They kind of got a feel and an idea, what happens. So I'm actually going to read it to you. And I am a fellow astral projector. I've gotten out of my body a few times. um I have dealt with loved ones who have passed and have come back to me. So, yeah, that's just a gift that I have. Um, I don't know. I don't know if I can attribute that to my Aquarius moon, my Gemini rising, the fact that Saturn is in my I'm sorry, Capricorn is in the eighth house. But anyway, we ain't getting into my birth chart, okay? We getting into understanding the gift of life and how that when the source gives a gift, aka God, which means good, gives a gift, he don't take it back. Okay? Ain't no turning back with him or with her, because nature naturally shows us who the life giver is, right? And that is the woman. She's the one who creates the building with no hands. It's all happening in the darkness of the womb, right? Y'all, we got a lot to learn. We're on a new timeline now. Life is about to get better and better and better for some of us, and for others they may have to go through some more things, but it's all here. It's all in what you create in your mind, right? Because ultimately, you have the authority over your turnout and what your situation is going to be. All right. So let me get into my favorite topic. And this chapter is chapter 5 in a book that I have not named, but I got so many books, y'all. I ain't going to be sitting up here shouting out all the names of these books. I ain't getting paid for that. So I'm just going to give you the information, and you can always go dig and do the research for yourself, because we are in the information age. Anything you want to know, you can find out. All right. So after death, the process. One of the questions most frequently asked by the average person who considers the question of life on the other side is this: what is the experience of the soul immediately after it leaves the body? It is somewhat pitiful to hear the answers given to this question by many of the so-called authorities on the subject. Verily, a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. The average person imagines that the soul simply steps out from the body and immediately enters into a new world of activity, a wonderland of strange and mysterious scenes. To many, there exists the hope of being met on the other shore by all the loved ones who have gone before, a great reunion. While there is something which corresponds to this, there is also an entirely different condition to be experienced by the soul immediately after it passes out of the body. Let us consider the experience of the soul immediately before and immediately after its passage from the body, so that we may get a clearer light on the subject. The person approaching the stage generally called death, but which is merely a transition stage between two great planes of life, experiences a gradual dulling of the physical senses. Sight, hearing, and feeling grow dimmer and dimmer, and the life of the person seems as a flickering candle flame, gradually approaching utter extinction. In many cases, this is the only phenomena attending the approach of death. But in many other cases, while the physical senses are growing dimmer, the psychical senses are growing wonderfully acute. It is a common occurrence for dying persons to manifest a consciousness of what is occurring in another room or another place. Clairvoyance frequently accompanies the approach of death, in some cases being attended by clairaudience, which means all hearing. Clairvoyance is all knowing, okay? The dying person being conscious of sights and sounds in distant places. There are also many instances recorded in the annals of the societies for psychical research, and far many more related in the privacy of family gatherings, in which the dying person has been able to strongly project his personality that friends and relatives at a distance have actually seen his form, and in some few cases have been able to converse with him. I'm sorry, not object, project his personality. Let me read that again, honey. We all hear me. It says, there are also many instances recorded in the annals of the societies for psychical research, and for many more related in the privacy of family gatherings, in which the dying person has been able to so strongly project his personality that friends and relatives at a distance have actually seen his form, and in some few cases have been able to converse with him. Wow. A careful comparison of time shows that these apparitions in nearly every case have appeared before the actual death of the person rather than after it. So people can see their dying loved one before they even die. They're projecting you know, projecting themselves. There are, of course, cases in which a strong desire of the dying person has caused him to project his astral body into the presence of someone near to him immediately after death. But these cases are far more rare than those of which we have spoken above. Now, I do, talking about projecting your body somewhere before you even die, but immediately after death as well. I remember when my grandfather died, and my mom's oldest sister told her that she was going to the bathroom in the middle of the night and saw my grandfather standing in the hallway, and he pulled her hair. She was walking past and he grabbed her hair. And this was immediately after his death. So there's a family story for you in the annals of family stories and histories, right? Okay, says here, in the majority of these cases, the phenomena is caused by a process of thought transference of such a higher power and degree that the visited person becomes impressed with the consciousness of the presence of the dying friend or relative, even while the soul of the latter still remained in the body. In many cases, also, the dying person becomes psychically conscious of a nearness to loved ones who have passed on before. In many cases, also, the dying person becomes psychically conscious of a nearness to a loved one who have passed on before. This, however, doesn't necessarily mean that these persons are actually present on the scene. One must remember that the limitations of space are largely wiped out on the astral plane, and that one may come into close rapport with the soul of another without there existing any near space relationship. In other words, while the two souls may not be in what may be called a nearness in space, they may nevertheless enjoy the closest relationship in mind and spirit. Thoughts are things. It is very difficult for one still in the flesh to realize this, that you can be close to a person without being physically next to them. I realize that. On the material plane, the laws of space, of course, govern, right? In a material plane, you not actually have to be next to somebody. I mean, you can send your thought and they can feel that, things been working out, but it's not the same. We know that. Telepathy gives us the key to the phenomena of the other side. Two persons in the flesh may experience the closest relationship by means of the communion of their mental principles, and yet may be on opposite sides of the world. In the same way, two souls may enjoy the closest soul communion and communication without the question of space nearness coming into question. As we have said, the dying person frequently enters into soul communion and communication with those already on the other side and is greatly cheered thereby. And this is a beautiful fact attending that which we call death. This fact that there really do occur those beautiful reunion of loved ones, of which good folk discourse so hopefully. Good folks discourse, talk about it. They want it so bad. But not in just the way these good folk usually imagine. The dying person's astral body gradually disengages itself from its physical counterpart, the astral body, and the student prop slow down. Sorry, y'all. This is good. The dying person's astral body gradually disengages itself from its physical counterpart. The astral body, as the student probably is aware, is an exact counterpart of the physical body. And during life, the two dwell together in the majority of cases. The astral body, however, leaves the physical body at the death of the latter and forms the covering of the soul for some time. It is really a form of material substance of a degree, however, so fine that it escapes the tests which reveal ordinary matter. Toward the last, the astral body actually slips from the physical body and is connected with it only by a slender thread or cord of astral substance. Finally, this thread snaps and the astral body floats away, inhabited by the soul, which has left the physical body behind. But this astral body is no more the soul that was the physical body which it has left. Both physical and astral bodies are merely temporary coverings for the soul itself. So you don't stay on the astral body, on the astral plane throughout eternity, because once you outgrow that, you shed like a snake sheds its skin, you'll shed the astral body like you shed the physical body. Okay. The soul leaving the physical body in the astral body is plunged into a deep sleep or state of coma resembling the condition of the unborn child for several months before birth. It's being prepared for rebirth on the astral plane and requires time in order to adjust itself to the new conditions and to gain strength and vigor required for its new phase of existence. Nature is full of these analogies. Birth on the physical and on the astral plane have many points of resemblance, and both are preceded by this period of coma. So just like you're in a deep sleep in your mama's womb while your body's being prepared, it's the same thing when you go over to the astral realm. You go into a deep sleep once you slip out of your body. During the sleep-like stage, the soul dwells in the astral body, which serves as its covering and protection, just as the womb serves as the protection for the child approaching physical birth. Before passing on, however, we should stop to consider certain features of the life of the soul in this stage. Ordinarily, the soul sleeps in peace, undisturbed by and protected from outward influences on the astral plane. There are two things, however, which tend to create an exception in some cases, namely that which may be called the dreams of the sleeping soul. These dreams arise from two general classes of causes, viz., number one, intense desire filling the mind of the dying person, such as love, hate, or unfulfilled tasks or duties. Two, the strong desires and thoughts of those left behind, providing such persons are in sufficiently close rapport with the departed soul by reason of love or other strong attachments. So when you're in your sleeping phase on the astral plane, there's two things that can stop this rest, right? Intense desire, which is kama, all right, filling the mind, and so you sleeping. The intense desire of love, hate, things that you didn't do, things that you want to do. This can disturb your astral rest, okay, while you're being prepared to go into the astral plane, right? And the other thing that can disturb your astral rest is strong desires and thoughts of people left behind, like you may pass before your kids and you may think about them, have a strong attachment to your mom or your dad, and that'll disturb your astral rest, right? This is why Buddha said the root of attachment is the root of all suffering. You have to learn to let go because we all live forever and we all got to get here some kind of way. You got to be born through somebody. Somebody going to be born through you, or you're going to help to create another person, right? And you got to understand you created the body, but you didn't create the soul. So you love them while you're around them. But when it's time to go, you got to know it's time to go because they got to go that way too. All right. You don't get too attached like that. It says either or both of these causes tend to produce a restlessness in the sleeping soul and have a tendency to attract the soul back to the scenes of earth, either in a dreamy kind of telepathic communication or else, in a few rare cases, by something approaching the state of somnambulism or sleepwalking of the physical life. So it's almost like, remember when I read to y'all in the last, if you go back and look, anyway, somnambulism, these are the spirit beings that become earthbound. They have too much desires, too many desires, too many regrets, or they're too attached to somebody here in the 3D, and they become trapped on the earth realm. Like they're not fully active in the physical and they're not fully active on the astral. So they just like walking a tightrope. And that's not good. That's not good because it could get to the point where you just can't let go and then you become a ghost around here. You can't move on. These conditions are regrettable, for they disturb the soul and defer its evolution and development in its new phase of existence. Let us consider this in a little more detail before passing on. A person pausing from the material A person passing from the material into the astral plane in a peaceful state of mind is seldom disturbed in the astral sleep by dreamlike states. They don't dream. So if you leave here, say for instance, I pass, I already know to detach, let go, let things be, love people where they are, things like that. A person who has done that work, and dealt with all that emotional stuff, when they go into the astral plane, they pass out of their body, they're not going to be disturbed. They're not going to have these dreams of, oh, I wish I would have done this. Oh, I miss my kid. Oh, ain't going to be none of that. All right. It says here, instead, he lives naturally through the coma state and then evolves easily into the new phase of existence as naturally as the unfolding of the bud into the flower. It is different with the individual whose mind is filled with strong desires concerning earth life or with strong remorse, hate, or great love and anxiety for those left behind. True story. Let me tell you, when I have an aunt that died. Unfortunately, she had addictions, and her daughter died shortly after her because she couldn't be without her. And I don't know if maybe, and she had an addiction too, and she went right behind her mom. And I remember when we were children, the pastor asked us at church, where do you want to go when you die? And that particular cousin said, to hell with my mama. True story. She told everybody in church was looking like, what? She was like, what, baby, where you want to go when you die? She was like, to hell with my mother. When her mother passed, guess what? She passed right behind her because she was so attached. Says in the latter case, the poor soul is often tormented by these earthly ties, and its astral sleep is rendered feverish and fretful. In such cases, there is often also an involuntary attempt made to communicate with or to appear to persons still on the material plane. In extreme cases, as we have said, there may even ensue the state resembling earthly somnambulism or sleepwalking, and the poor sleeping soul may even visit its former scenes. In such cases, again, what dreams may come, featuring Robin Williams. Watch that movie. It gives you this whole layout right here of somebody passing away, not realizing where they finally realize they did, but they don't want to leave. They keep hanging around because, you're not going to get your body back. They hang around because they hoping they can contact their loved ones. All right. In such cases, when the apparition is visible to men, it will be noted that there is a half awake manner and air about the apparition. something lacking that wasn't present in earth life. So if people see this person's apparition that passed away, they're going to notice it's not the same as when the person was alive. It's like I saw him, but he was like, you know how they show the ghosts because they're not all there. They're just trying to pull up enough astral matter to 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 make themselves seen. Okay. It says, the history of ghosts bears out this statement, and the explanation just given is the only one which really throws light on the subject. In time, however, these poor earthbound souls become tired and finally sink into the blessed sleep, which is their just lot. In the same way, the strong desires of those left behind often serve to establish a rapport condition between such persons and the departed soul, causing it to become restless and uneasy. In other words, when somebody passes, don't mourn them. Don't. You hurt them when you do that. When my grandmother, I've never been that type of person. I guess I already knew in my mental body not to be like that. When my grandmother passed, I didn't cry. I didn't. I was just like, okay. And my mother's like, what is your problem? I was like, nothing. We all gotta die. What's the big deal? That's how I felt. I was like, what, 20 years old? And everybody else, people feel like they have to put on an act, put on a show to show that they hurting because somebody passed. That's not necessary. I've never felt like that. Even when my father passed, I was 19 and I just sat there. I went to the funeral. I was like, okay, all right, but I'm not going to do all of that. I've never been overly emotional like that, even in church. But let me finish this. It says, many a well-meaning person has acted so as to retard the natural processes of the astral plane in relation to some loved one who has passed away and has denied to the tired soul that rest which is merited. So in other words, many well-meaning persons have retarded the natural process of the astral plane in relation to a loved one who passed away and denied that soul the rest that they need after the physical life. When you up there, oh God, they gone every day. I just miss this person. You are tormenting them. Let them sleep. Let them rest. And once they rest, they're going to wake up to an astral life. They're going to learn how to move around in that dimension. You know what I'm saying? So all that crying and all that drama, that's not necessary. Come on, y'all. We need to stop that. All right. So let's see. Soul slumber. So now we're going to talk about the slumbering of the soul. All right. In connection with the subject of the soul slumber, of which we have spoken in the preceding chapter, we take the liberty of quoting from one of our earlier works in which this subject was briefly touched upon as follows. The process of sinking into the restful state and the soundness and continuance thereof may be interfered with by those left in the earth life. A soul which has something on its mind to communicate, or which is grieved by the pain of those left behind, especially if it hears the lamentations and constant calls for its return, will fight off the dreamy state creeping over it and will make desperate efforts to return. So you hear that? So the soul that passed and it hears somebody crying for them all the time and bemoaning them, they're not gonna rest. They're not gonna rest. And likewise, the mental calls of those who have been left behind will disturb the slumber. Once it has been entered into, and will cause the sleeping soul to rouse itself and endeavor to answer the calls, or at least will partially awaken it and retard its unfoldment. I was guilty of that when my father passed. I mean, I was with my son's father at the time, and we were living together, and I was just crying for him. I'm just like, man, I just wish my father wouldn't have died. 30 days he came to me, let me go. He kept telling me, let me go. Let me go. It's okay, baby. Just let me go. And finally on that 30th day, I let him go. I let him go. And I have not, he came to me in my dreams once, but he looked like different. He didn't look the same. It's like he had reincarnated and looked like a different type of person, but I knew it was him, but it wasn't the same look. But yeah, you can't mourn people when they leave. Now it's even, it'd be kind of hard to say that when somebody died and you knew that they won nothing, or that they didn't do right, or was wicked. You kind of mourn, but you still don't need to mourn for them, because they're gonna go where they need to go, and they have a chance to work it out and do better. So the point is, don't mourn, because you're denying that soul the astral rest that they deserve. They should be able to leave, go into that astral slumber, wake back up, and do what they need to do. But when you crying and they trying to go to sleep, and they like, oh, they hear your cries. Oh God, I gotta have. Let me go to their dreams. They need to rest. They need to rest. All right. Let me pause this for 1 second, y'all, because I have to use the restroom, and I will pick it back up in a minute. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. All right. So, like I was saying, when a person passes, don't mourn them, because you um, disturb their rest. Okay. Says these half awake souls often manifest in spiritualistic circles. Our selfish grief and demands often cause much pain and sorrow to our loved ones who have passed over to the other side. Unless they have learned the true state of affairs before they've passed out and refuse to be called back even by those whom they love, right? We cause them great pain and sorrow unless they've learned the true state of affairs before they passed out. Then they know, okay, well, I know they're calling me, but I can't go back because I got to move forward. You know what I'm saying? But if they haven't learned that, you causing torment to them. Cases are known where souls have fought off the slumber for years in order to be around their loved ones on earth. But this course was unwise, as it caused unnecessary sorrow and pain both to the one who had passed on and to those who remained on earth. We should avoid delaying by our selfish demands the progress of those who have passed on. Let them sleep on and rest, awaiting the hour of their transformation. To do otherwise is to make them die their death several times in succession. Those who truly love and understand always avoid this, for their love and understanding bids them let the soul depart in peace and take its well-earned rest and gain its full development. This period of slumber, soul slumber, is like the existence of the babe in the mother's womb. It sleeps that it may awaken into life and strength. There's another phase of this particular stage of the soul progress which should be referred to here. Again, we quote from what we have previously written on the subject as follows. It is only the soul of the person who has died a natural death which sinks at once, if not disturbed, into the soul slumber. Okay? So only way you sink into the soul slumber is if you've died a natural death. All right? You're in a nursing home, and you finna pass out, and you finna, go like that, right? Those who die by accident or who are killed, in other words, those who pass out of the body suddenly, find themselves wide awake and in full possession of their mental faculties for some time. So if you die of an accident or you murdered or something like that, you don't go into no soul slumber right away. You wake up on the other side, like watch Final Destination. You pop out that body so quick, and you're like, and sometimes they don't even realize they dead because it happens too fast. They are often not aware that they have died and cannot understand what is the matter with them. They are often fully conscious for a short time of life on earth and can see and hear all that is going on around them by means of their astral senses, their spiritual senses. They can't realize that they have passed out of the body and are often sorely perplexed, sorely confused. They don't understand. They was just driving in a car, and all of a sudden, they look at the car on the ground. They see their body on the ground. They see the ambulance, but they don't know, why is this happening to me, right? Especially if they religious, because they gonna think that they just gonna be asleep or something like that, until Christ call them. Their lot would be most unhappy for a few days until the sleep finally overcame them in their due course. Were it not for the astral helpers or the spirits on the other side, Those blessed souls from the higher states of existence who gather around them and gently break to them the news of their real condition and offer them words of comfort and advice, and generally take care of them until they sink into the soul slumber, just as a tired child sinks to sleep at night. These helpers never fail in their duty, and no one who passes out suddenly, be he or she good or bad, is neglected. For these helpers know that all are God's children and their own spiritual brethren and sisters. So y'all hear that? Even if somebody died and they undeveloped, they didn't do the spiritual work, or they were real worldly, it don't matter. They deserve the help too. So when they pass on, the spiritual helpers or the angels or whatever you want to call them, ancestors, they're gonna help them too. Like, okay, it's okay. You're not living anymore, okay? I mean, you're living, but you're not in your body. So let us show you, what's about to happen, because you can't go back there, right? So they get the help too. Says here, men of high spiritual development and powers have been known to pass out of their physical bodies temporarily, dwelling in their astral bodies for the purpose of giving aid and advice in time of great catastrophes, such as the Johnstown flood and the Titanic disaster, or after a great battle when immediate advice and assistance were needed. Persons dying in the way of which we have spoken, of course, gradually fall into the slumber of the soul, just as the cases of those dying the natural death. So basically, when you think about Hurricane Helene and all these other things like that, those spiritual helpers are there for those people that have just got whipped around by a tornado and just body laying out their carcasses just all over the place. Those spiritual helpers are right there, because those people are standing around looking at their bodies, looking at other people's bodies, see the living running around trying to help, and they're shocked. They like shell shocked. And here come the spirits. They like, here, it's okay. It's okay. You on a astral plane now. It's all right. You can't go back to that body. They comfort them, they console them, and they take them on over with them wherever they need to go in the astral. Remember, the lower level is here. So that's how that works. Okay. So remember, if you die in a natural death, old age, maybe illness, you're going to slip right into your slumber as long as nobody's standing behind, doing all that at the nursing home and at your bedside, making it hard for you to move on, right? You'll go straight into the slumber. But if you die being of a murder, an accident, some craziness, you jump right out and you're aware. But after a few days of you getting over your terror and running around trying to figure out what's happening, the spirit helpers come to help you. Okay? Doesn't matter if you're good or evil, they're going to come for you to help you out. But you got to go where you're supposed to go, right? Because you create your reality. Don't forget that. Not only in this world do you create it in the next one too. Another matter which should be mentioned in this place is that wonderful phenomena of the review of the past life of the soul, the great panorama which passes before the mental vision of the soul as it sinks into the soul slumber. So you're going to get a life review. Hold on, it's hot. Take this jacket off. So you're going to get a life review when you're going into your slumber. Another matter which should be mentioned in this place is that wonderful phenomena of the review of the past life of the soul, that great panorama which passes before the mental vision of the soul as it sinks into the soul's slumber. This, the authorities inform us, really occupies but an infinitesimal moment of time. Such a small moment of time, your life gonna flash before you. Most people have heard about that, the life flashing before you and stuff like that. Yet, in this brief moment, the soul witnesses the panorama of the life it has passed on earth. Scene after scene, of infancy to old age, passes before the soul in review. The most insignificant incident is reproduced with as much fidelity to detail as is the greatest event. The subconscious planes of memory unfold their secrets to the last. Nothing is reserved or withheld. Moreover, the soul, by its awakened spiritual discernment, is able to know the meaning, cause, and consequence of every event in its life. It is able to analyze and to pass judgment upon itself and the things that it has done. Like an omniscient and impartial judge, it judges itself. So you're going to judge yourself. When your life passes before you and you see all the people that you hurt, all the people that you loved and made feel good, you're going to judge yourself. The result of this process is that the acts of one's past life are concentrated and impressed upon the records of the soul, there to become as seeds which will produce better fruit in the future reincarnations. These seeds serve to bear the fruits of future character in future lives, at least, so far as the acquired characteristics and desires will admit of. So, what is the purpose for the life review? It's for you to see the good you done, the bad you done, the ugly you done, the way you behaved, the way you made other people feel. You're going to feel all the pain that you made somebody feel. You're going to feel all the love that you made somebody feel. And thereby you'll learn from that. Okay? And the good seeds will be saved for the next incarnation if you have to come back. To those who may object that it is impossible for the mind to grasp the events of a lifetime in the space of a moment of time, we will say that psychology will inform them that even in ordinary earth life, this is possible. You can see this in ordinary earth life. How? Social media. Go to somebody's Facebook page. Go from the first post they put up all the way up to, and you can see, and you can even do it in your mind for your own life. You got memories. You think about the people you've hurt, that you've loved, the mistakes that you've made, and that you had to heal from. That's why it's important to do the work, to heal yourself so you have no regrets, no sorrows, no pains, just no regrets, period, and no desires. All right. For there are many recorded cases in which a person nodding into slumber has dreamed of events which have occupied an apparent period of many years. In ordinary dreams, time is practically reduced to a small unit, and in the state of which we speak, the process of concentration is intensified, and the single point of time covers the period of the longest life. The soul carries with it into its slumber state a concentrated record of its entire life, including the seeds of its desires, ambitions, likes and dislikes, attractions and repulsions. These seed ideas soon begin to sprout and bear and blossom fruit. Not only in future incarnations are these manifest, but also in the life of the soul on the astral plane. For kind nature doesn't impose on the soul the task of living out and outliving all of its tendencies in future incarnations, but so arranges that many of these strong impulses shall be manifested and worn out on the astral plane, so that the soul may leave them behind when it is reborn into a new earth life. So, in other words, you don't have to wait just until you're in the body to burn out some of your desires. You could do it on the astral plane too. Say you have a desire for you ain't gonna have no body to do these things, right? But you could still burn your desires out. You could think about it so much or whatever. I haven't lived on the astral plane in over 50 something years, so I can't tell you exactly right now, but you can burn your desires out over there. You don't have to do them all in the flesh. All right. And it is toward this fruition that the soul's slumber serves. So during the soul sleep, the soul is prepared for its entrance into astral life and manifestation, the details of which we shall see as we proceed. The soul slumber is just as necessary for the soul in this stage of its progress as is the slumber of the unborn babe in the womb of its mother. We've heard of some unreasoning persons who, upon being made acquainted with these teachings, manifested a fear of the soul slumber state, and who said they feared the sleep in an unknown place among so many unknown things and creatures. This objection seems very childish to the advanced occultist, for he knows that there is nowhere in nature in which an entity is so carefully and fully guarded as in the case of the sleeping soul on the great astral plane. So somebody said, I'd be scared to be asleep somewhere where, creatures and all this. You don't know where you at. And to the occultist, the spiritualist, all right, the aspirant, you know that that's stupid. You're going to be safe there. Can't nothing bother you when you're doing your soul sleep. Can't nothing mess with you there. So you're so absolutely secure from invasion or intrusion from harm or hurtful influence are these sleeping souls that nothing short of a complete revolution of nature's most sacred laws could affect them. The abode is not a place, remember, but a condition or a state. And this state or condition is such that no malign or harmful influence could in any way whatsoever reach or even draw near the slumbering soul. Would that all of us in earth life were so securely guarded, right? You could be in your physical home sleeping, somebody breaking your house, but over there, that ain't gonna happen. And even Yeshua told you in the Holy Bible that put your treasures on things above where moth cannot corrupt and thieves can't break in and steal, but it's incorruptible. All right. So if your belongings are safe there, then you know you safe there, right? So ain't nothing to worry about. So secure are these sleeping souls that it would seem as if all of nature's forces had conspired to guard and protect them. It is a Hindu maxim which runs as follows: not even the gods on their high thrones have any power or dominion over the sleeping soul, except for the loved ones who crying and hollering because they done passed on. You got some kind of, effect on that soul because, you just do. To those whose ideas on the subject of the other side have been so influenced by the teachings of current theology that this conception of the soul slumber may seem strange and unusual, we would say that a little consideration will show that under the popular conceptions of even the most favored theologies will be found many veiled allusions to this blessed state of rest which the soul so sadly requires after one strenuous life and before another. He giveth his beloved sleep. That's what that's talking about. That rest, taking that great rest, right? There is a rest for the weary. He has gone to his long rest. These and many other familiar expressions and quotations seek to express the innate idea implanted in the human mind regarding a period of rest which shall come to the tired soul. The idea of rest after the stress and storms of life is so natural and instinctive that it may be said to represent the strongest inclination and conviction of the human soul in connection with the idea of death, which we know there is no death. It is as fixed as is the conviction of the future life beyond the grave, and the advanced occult teaching alone, however, are to be found the explanation of the idea. The soul which is instructed regarding the existence and nature of this period of slumber will find nothing but satisfaction in the contemplation thereof, and I'm contemplating it and I am satisfied. It will learn to regard this stage of its future existence as a blessed balm and comfort. It will feel toward this state that which we find expressed in the words of the old song, and calm and peaceful do I sleep, rocked in the cradle of the deep. As rest, securely resting on the bosom of that great ocean of life. Rest, calm, peace, security, protection. This is the condition of the soul slumber on the astral plane. All right, y'all. So we covered after death, the soul slumber, and next time I'll be reading the soul awakening, when the soul wakes up after it has had that sleep. So what do we learn out of this, y'all? Depending on how you die, tells of or is indicative of how you go about getting into that slumber, into that rest. If you die a natural death, natural meaning old age, or you sick in the hospital, you going, you got time to realize that you finna get out of here, right? If you die in that way, you go into your slumber. As long as your loved ones ain't hollering and crying and pulling you back, all right? And that's nothing but tormenting to somebody who's trying to pass on so they can get their rest. You don't want to do that. And we also learned that if you die a violent death, accident, murder, something like that, then you are fully wide awake on the astral plane. It's a shock to you. And you get like a few days to wander around and, see everything and check it out. And when you get to the point where you just don't know what to do, the helpers appear. The spirits come to help you. No matter if you are a negative person or a positive person, you get help. Okay. We also learned that once you do come to an understanding, you go into your slumber and you have your life flash before you, right? You get to see what you did to others, how you may have helped them, how you may have hurt them, and you judge yourself. All right. And you get that rest and you get to burn out your desires. Once you wake up on that astral plane, you don't have to wait just for the next incarnation to do it. You could burn some things off while you're still in the spirit. All right. So the next reading that we're going to get into is the soul's awakening. And I am serious about this, y'all. I am serious because so many people since that pandemic have left here, heart attacks, just people going in and finding their loved ones just laying there dead. Well, they're not dead, but they gone. They've left the body. So we need to know. It is very important. And so again, this is your girl, Unique Air, your metaphysical deaf doula, talking, teaching, discussing on um, principles, all right, that will help you in this life, in the life after, in the life after that. Thank you again. And I'll see y'all on the next reading.